You may think that writing your resume is the easiest part of the job search, but it really isn't. So unless you know someone that works for the company you want to work for or works in the department you want to work for that can actually guarantee you an interview, your resume is all you have to sell yourself, to get you in the door. So we're going to talk about how you write your best resume. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Tina C. I'm a career development and job search strategist. My journey includes managing, training, and project management experience. I've interviewed hundreds of people, and I've consulted with many people on taking that next step in their career. So let's talk about why writing your best resume is so important these days. So believe it or not, a lot of companies are using computers to electronically scan resumes. They are getting so many resumes, there's so much competition. So they're actually using those to actually find the best candidates. Long gone are those days where you could dress up, put on that flashy smile, walk in the door of a business and make that first impression. You can't do that anymore. So your resume is really all you have to do that. So unless you're able to use something like LinkedIn, where you can actually have your photo there, you can actually be a little bit more creative with it, or you're one of those folks that these days people are creating their own dashboards online, which gives people a visualization. And again, they can get more creative. But if not, that paper that you submit electronically, that's all you have to sell yourself to win the job. So there's basics to everyone's resume. So I'm strongly going to suggest that you try to keep the resume to a page and a half or 2 pages at the most. It's really difficult to get it down to 1 page, and that's fine. So the next thing you need to do is tailor your resume to the job. Now, if you're applying for 5 jobs, you probably should have 5 resumes. And I know you're probably thinking, what? That's too much trouble to go to. But really, you can't use the same resume for each job because you specifically need to tailor your work history and your skills to what they are looking for in that job. So I strongly recommend you do it. Yes, it's a lot of trouble, but go for it. The other thing is, there's so much competition. People are getting so many resumes for the same job. So think about it. They're looking for ways to find that best candidate and eliminate the people that they don't want to spend time on. So one way they're doing that very quickly, the easiest way, is to look for typos and grammar issues. Now I'm going to tell you, you probably won't be able to find those yourself. It is very difficult to proofread your own writing. Find a family member, a friend, somebody to read it for you. The last thing you want to do is lose a job opportunity because of a typo or a grammar issue. So just go for it. So your objective or that opening statement, I'll tell you, this one is a pet peeve of mine. A lot of people, they've got this big paragraph, it's full of words that really aren't saying anything, or it's just that same old statement that they get from everybody. I'm going to challenge you to be different, to make this bold. It should only be 2 or 3 sentences. Nobody wants to spend a lot of time reading that. Be really specific. Always name the role that you are applying for. State that job title. But speak to it as though you've already gotten that job. Talk about how you're going to make an immediate impact in that company or how you're going to feel when you get that position. It's very different, and this will actually be an eye catcher. Your experience or your work history. This one is really important. So think about, again, there's a lot of competition. You want to make sure that when that computer is either scanning your resume or a recruiter is reading it or a hiring manager, that you're really zeroing in on the points that they need to know about. Think about your resume as the introduction. You're going to do the rest of the selling of yourself in the interview. So I'm going to highly recommend that you use bullet format. You also should always go with action words. Try to use action words at the beginning of that sentence. So depending on what the job is, make sure that you're matching those items to the requirements for the job. This is another reason that I'm telling you, you really need a different resume for each job, because you want to really be specific. Whatever it is they're looking for, you want to make sure that you're telling them that you have those skills. So, be it coaching, managing, driving, filing, whatever that is, use those words, use those action words so that they can key in on those and you won't go wrong. Okay, so listing your job history. There's really two things to think about here. For an internal position, it's a little simpler. You're just simply listing the roles you have within that company and when you started the role, and just go with the month and the year and when you ended it. Those are pretty easy. But for external, there's some things you should think about. It's a little bit more complicated. So these days, one of the things that people are dealing with is people have more jobs in a shorter period of time. That's called a job hopper. And it does draw the attention of the recruiter. So here's what I will tell you. Since COVID, different things have happened in different people's lives, and I think most companies understand that. List your job history, but just be prepared to talk through it and explain to them your circumstance and what is happening. It's fine. And then the same thing with, what if you had like this long gap in employment? Well, you never know. Maybe you had a business and then you decided to go back into corporate America. Maybe for personal reasons you stayed home. And again, COVID may play into that. But again, just be prepared to explain that to them, because they will notice it and they probably will ask you about it. Okay, so now we're down to that last section. It's the extras. It's your education, it's what software you know, or maybe you have some type of certificates. So let's start with education. Keep that simple, and you don't have to make it time bound. If you've got your high school diploma you want to list your high school. If you had a GED, if you went to college, just simply list your school and your degree. Or if you went to a specialty school, same thing. Just keep it simple. And then you've got certificates. Now this is a funny one, because a lot of times people have gone to a lot of trouble to get some type of certification. And you're really proud of that, and you're really happy about it. But I'm gonna caution you, because if it doesn't have anything to do with the job you're applying for, it doesn't matter that you list that. So for example, you're gonna be driving machinery, but you've got this HR certificate. Actually, that kind of has nothing to do with that. So you're really wasting space on the resume, and you're wasting their time by having them read it. Now I'll give you another example of something that's really cool to list. Let's just say you've been part of a Toastmasters club and you have a certificate from that. Well, communication skills is going to be key in any role you're going to apply for, so definitely list that. You just have to think through it and make sure that it's something, again, that's relative to the job you're applying for. A lot of people like to list, oh, well, I know Microsoft Word and I know Excel and those simple things. Well, really, I will tell you, in corporate America, most of us know those things. So you don't really have to list them, but I will tell you when it is good to list some of those. So let's talk about software and applications you may know. A lot of people will list just the simple applications that in corporate America we all use. You know, your email, your task list, maybe spreadsheets, Word docs. So you don't really need to list those, but I will tell you a time when you do. If you're applying for a job where advanced skills in any of those is needed, like for example, spreadsheets. If you have advanced Excel skills, I would say list that. If you're going to be doing any writing or designing and you have extended knowledge in that, then list that. But just the normal things you don't have to. I'll tell you another example. Sometimes there's unique skills that people have because of the role they're applying for. My example would be, if you're an analyst or you're going to be doing some type of reporting, there are specific math skills that are required for that. Sometimes you need to know how to write code or queries. If you know how to do that, definitely list those things. If you have any kind of certification in that, definitely list that. Or you took a special course in that, then those are valuable, and so you should have that on there for the hiring manager. So because you stayed with me this long, I have a bonus tip for you. And this one you might not be expecting, but I'm gonna make a suggestion that you actually take a look at your social media presence and your online presence. You may have your own website. So the first thing that comes to mind is you may think, well, no, that's personal, that doesn't have anything to do with my job. Well, I'll tell you. Actually, your online presence is really your brand. Even in your personal life, that's your brand. So again, think about all the competition there is out there. Sometimes employers, they're wanting to pick the best person for the job and somebody they feel like they can trust. And brand is important to them. So they do check social media. So I'm gonna say, just go in there, take a look at. I want you to think about, what photos do I have out there? What phrasing do I have out there? What captions do I have out there? Because again, that's your brand. Just something to think about, a little food for thought. I hope you like these tips and you find them helpful. I'd love to hear from you about your resume writing experience, if you've been really successful at it or if you've had any challenges. Good luck with that next interview. That great resume that you're going to write is going to help you get that interview. Like and subscribe, share this with others, and thank you for watching.